Hello, peeps! It's the Hillbilly Halfwit, and today we've got a brilliant one for you. Absolutely brilliant one for you. I've just randomly been looking up the Fabian Society after seeing somebody talk about it early day before yesterday, and I thought I'd go through the current Welsh cabinet and the English cabinet and the prime ministers and the former Welsh leaders, see who were members of the Fabian Society and the Welsh Fabian Society. And I've gone down this rabbit hole, and you will be amazed at what these people are part of. Absolutely amazed. Top civil servants, pretty much everybody running our country now is part of this Fabian Society. Lots of them don't even say they are. I've tried to find as many as I can, but ChatGPT has refused to tell me most of them. And then it's been crashing when I've been saying it. And I asked it why it's crashing, and it says basically we're not allowed to say. So let's get going. The content in this video is intended for comedic purposes only. The views expressed in this video are not to be taken as factual information or a representation of my personal beliefs. I am critically reviewing the info and videos I show as examples. Now, this lot is sinister. Genuinely sinister. When you see their logos are basically a wolf in sheep's clothing. And the original motto and logo was two blokes with a hammer and an anvil, and the world between the anvil, and they smash it. And basically, their motto is to run things from within, slowly infiltrate. I know it sounds bizarre, absolutely amazing. Prime Minister's part of it. Pretty much all of his cabinet is part of it. As you'll see now, I couldn't get everything, but please watch this. This is what is happening in the UK today, and I wouldn't be surprised if this video won't even share. I wouldn't be surprised. So what is the Fabian Society? Founded in 1884, the Fabian Society is a British socialist organisation with one core goal: to transform society into a socialist state, not by revolution, but by gradual, stealthy infiltration of power structures. Does that remind you of anything that's happened now? Last 10 years, definitely. Unlike Marxist revolutions, Fabians use a strategy of slow permeation. They don't storm the gates, they become the gatekeepers. The symbolism and why it was removed. The original logo, a wolf in sheep's clothing standing at an anvil, hammering the world, a literal statement of their intent to reshape the world quietly from within. Motto, when I strike, strike hard, a reference to Roman general Fabius Maximus, who used delay and infiltration to weaken his enemies over time. They removed the logo in recent decades, not because the mission changed, but because the imagery revealed too much. Now remember Mark Drakeford, lots of the Welsh secretaries, people in charge of Wales are in part of this. Here is one of the only images I could find of it on a stained glass window that Tony Blair helped put up. Tony Blair's one of them. Yeah. Alistair Campbell. It's absolutely unbelievable. If you look there, look, you've got an anvil with a world on it. One bloke's holding the world, and they've both got hammers, and they're going to smash it on the anvil. And above the anvil, and above the world, is the wolf wearing a killed sheep's fleece and skin. And there it goes there, proudly devolution. What's that? Definitely hammer stout or something. Yeah. Pray devoutly hammer stout, it says. This is some bunch of nutcases, this is. What's it say up the top there? Remold it nearer to thy heart's desire. And they want to smash it. Smash our world. This is the other one here, look. So that's a wolf that's got a lamb that's been killed and it's been skinned, as you can see, tied to the wolf's back. That's the one they removed. These people are nutcases. These are members of it. I've had a hell of a job to find the membership of this thing. So how they operate. The Fabians use a method called gradualism, embedding their ideology into government departments, civil service leadership, education systems, media outlets, trade unions, charities, NGOs, quangos, party machines, especially Labour, but also influencing parts of the Lib Dems and Greens. This influence isn't announced. There's no election, no manifesto. They don't want a mandate. They want control. So the real world impact today, many of the UK's most disruptive and controlling policies have Fabian fingerprints, net zero mandates. These are all their policies. Digital ID and surveillance expansion, 20-minute cities and restrictive movement ideas, overhaul of farming and rural land use, criminalising dissent under hate speech laws, hyper-centralised education curriculums. Even PMs, First Ministers, Secretaries of State and civil servants have Fabian ties, often undeclared. And as you'll see, I found a lot of them, but it's a job because even ChatGPT crashes and tells me it's not allowed to tell me. So what history teaches us about groups like this? Every time in history, a small ideological group takes over a state from within. Without open debate or democratic control, it ends in suffering. So historic parallels: Soviet Russia, gradual infiltration of institutions by Bolsheviks before full control, followed by decades of oppression. East Germany, a bureaucratic regime of stifled freedom, surveilled its people and crushed opposition, all in the name of collective good. That's what we got to now. That's what the Animal Farm was basically based on. China's Cultural Revolution, top-down ideological enforcement of education, agriculture, speech and culture, millions punished or killed. Weimar Germany, opposite ideology, same method, gradual takeover by authoritarian groups using bureaucracy, propaganda and civil service allies. In every case, it began with ideas that sounded noble: equality, safety, progress. It ended with control, censorship, loss of rights, and deep public suffering. Why the Fabian case is especially dangerous. It hides in plain sight. It's already embedded. It claims to be democratic but acts technocratic. And now even discussing it openly gets blocked, flagged or suppressed. If you're not allowed to question who's making the decisions, then you are not living in a democracy anymore. It's unbelievable how hard it is for me to get this information. This has been the hardest subject that I've done so far. I was expecting this would be some sort of thing with nothing to it. It's more than nothing to it. This is full on fact. This is the Labour cabinet with people who are Fabians. Look at it. There's 13 there. Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Deputy Prime Minister and Secretary of State for Housing Angela Rayner, Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel Reeves, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, Foreign Secretary David Lammy, Secretary for State for Health and Social Care Wes Streeting, Secretary of State for Education and Minister for Women and Equalities Bridget Phillotson, Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero Ed Miliband, Secretary of State for Justice and Lord Chancellor Shabana Mahmood, Secretary of State for Business and Trade Jonathan Reynolds, Northern Ireland Secretary Hilary Benn, Scotland Secretary Ian Murray, Wales Secretary Joe Stevens. They are all in this group. Other relevant cabinet attended ministers with Fabian membership: Baroness Chaplin of Darlington. Attends cabinet, trade union membership listed but no Fabian mention, but they are members. Attorney General Lord Hamir, not listed as Fabian. So they're not listed, but they are members. Baroness Smith of Basildon, leader of the House of Lords, not listed as Fabian. Summary: under Fabian Society, members in cabinet: Wes Streeton, Health Secretary; Jonathan Reynolds, Hilary Benn, Ian. You've seen that. Confirmed. See, what they do is they actually have to put it in a register, and they're not all of them do. It's really, really bloody sinister. That's what it is. And then you have to go around seeing if they've made speeches. So this has took me hours to get all this together. Hours and hours and hours, where they basically, I have to trawl through all this stuff, finding out if they've been making speeches. And then when they make a speech, in the speech it'll say that they've talked to the Fabian membership. So they are a member. But they haven't said they are. So Rachel Reeves, she stated, I have been a Fabian almost as long as I've been a member of the Labour Party, reflecting her strong affiliation. She also authors Fabian Society publications. Ed Miliband, a known prominent Fabian, having led the party and delivered numerous Fabian conference speeches. Keir Starmer served on the Fabian Society executive, penned a Fabian pamphlet, The Road Ahead, and is openly identified as Fabian. David Lammy, member of the Fabian Society, was given keynote speeches and co-authored Fabian pamphlets on foreign policy. Now here's journalists. I couldn't find a lot about journalists, but there's a good few of them. Polly Toynbee, columnist at The Guardian, long associated with Fabian ideals, frequent speaker at Fabian events. Alistair Campbell, former journalist, Blair's spin doctor, not a declared Fabian, but ideologically aligned. Blair is a Fabian. Jason Crowley, Statesman. Raphael Beer, Guardian. George Eaton, New Statesman. Here's Paul Mason. Remember, he was an ex-BBC Newsnight and Channel 4 openly socialist and Labour affiliated, has participated in think tank discussions. He's a full-on, as near as it can be to a communist as ever. And one of his friends is Chris Bryant, and they travelled to, what's the name of it? Together, that war zone together last year. I heard him talking about it. I actually heard Paul Mason talking about it. Ukraine. Confirmed Fabian members in Welsh Labour. Lee Waters, MS, listed as a member of the Fabian Society and Register of Interest. Mark Drakeford, Welsh leader, contributed to Fabian Society essays and events. Vaughan Gethin, author of Change in Wales, a Fabian member of the list. See, there's another group called Welsh Fabians, but every time I put that in, it crashes the whole system. I'm not even allowed to find out who's in that. So I've just had to do it by a roundabout way. So Vaughan Gethin is a Welsh Fabian as well. Jeremy Miles wrote for Fabian Society in Wales, speaks at Fabian events. Hughie Ranker Davis, listed as a member of Welsh Fabian Society in the Senedd Register. Julie Morgan, listed as Fabian member in registers for Fabian publications. Summary table: Carwyn Jones speaks at regional Fabian events. Tonya Ananese, co-speaker at Welsh Fabian events. Carol Green, co-speaker. Natasha Davis, co-speaker. Jeremy Miles, written. Catherine Fuchs, head of Fabian branch. Carolyn Harris featured. It's unreal. What this tells us: these individuals are publicly confirmed as speakers or contributors to Welsh Fabians or Fabian events. However, exact Fabian membership of all Labour MSs and MPs remains undisclosed unless publicly declared. The presence of these names suggests some ties to Fabian circles, but membership figures are not revealed. Conclusion: no definitive list exists, but at least six or seven prominent Welsh Labour figures have engaged publicly with the Welsh Fabians, indicating multiple overlapping connections, even if a precise membership numbers are unavailable. If you like, I can continue digging into the MSs. Well, I've looked at this, even going back as Rodri Morgan. He wasn't a confirmed, but from him on, everybody has been a member of the Fabians. And I think he probably was as well. So everybody running Wales for the last 25 years has basically been a member of the Fabians or the Welsh Fabian Society. Welsh Fabians, you can't get anything. You can't find out who these people are. So look, Welsh Fabian Society is a think tank. It's a Wales chapter, focuses socialist, Labour-aligned policy in Wales, centre, left to left, notes a strong connection with Welsh Labour and Labour politicians. Lee Waters is the head of another think tank. All the top civil servants in the UK and Wales are members of this thing. It's absolutely unbelievable. This has been the hardest one I've had to look at and do a detailed journalistic look at. I've never had ChatGPT basically crash and stop every time I'm asking questions. And then when I go back and I say, why do you crash? It says, because I cannot give you that information. This has happened about 10 or 15 times. Never had it with hardly anything else. It's sinister. To think they want to smash the world and they have to remove their logo but keep the same wording. And they got a logo of wearing a wolf wearing a sheep's skin. It's and destroy from within. This is unbelievable stuff. How come I'm just a normal, everyday Welsh farmer looking at this stuff? Nobody in the media looks at this stuff. It's sinister, really sinister. Please subscribe, comment, rate, and subscribe and share. All the best, Gaz.